The vast research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the cosmic darkness, its sleek metallic hull reflecting pinpricks of distant starlight. Researcher Hannah Park stood motionless near the observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display tracking the approaching alien vessel. They were different from anything humanity had encountered before. The crystalline collective, a species of sentient beings composed of complex molecular structures that defied traditional biological understanding. Where humans were soft and emotional, they were hard and logical. Where humans reproduced through intimate biological connections, they simply replicated. June, the crystalline representative, emerged from a shimmering energy field. His form was not truly a body as humans understood it, but a constantly shifting arrangement of translucent crystalline structures that seemed to breathe and pulse with an internal energy. Each movement was precise, calculated, without the organic randomness of human motion. "Your transmission was received," June stated, his voice a perfect digital resonance that seemed to vibrate directly within Hannah's mind rather than travel through sound waves. "We are prepared to discuss potential scientific exchange." Hannah had spent years preparing for this moment. Her research into alternative reproduction methods across galactic civilizations had made her the perfect candidate for first contact. Unlike many of her colleagues who saw the crystalline collective as cold and mechanical, she saw potential, complexity, a different kind of intelligence. "We're interested in understanding your replication process," Hannah responded, her voice calm and professional. She activated a holographic presentation that displayed human reproductive cycles alongside molecular replication diagrams. June's crystalline structure shifted, tiny fragments realigning as he processed the information. "Inefficient," he commented, after a moment. "Your method requires two biological entities, unpredictable genetic combinations, significant energy expenditure, and emotional complications." A lesser researcher might have been offended. Hannah simply nodded. Complexity isn't inefficiency, it's adaptation. The alien's form flickered, a gesture she was learning to recognize as curiosity. Humans would raise an eyebrow, crystals would momentarily destabilize their molecular structure. Outside the observation window, stars continued their ancient dance. Billions of light-years of cosmic history watched this extraordinary moment of potential understanding between two radically different forms of intelligent life. June extended a crystalline tendril, not as a threat, but as a scientific gesture of examination. Hannah remained perfectly still, understanding this was a moment of profound cultural exchange. Her skin tingled where the alien's energy field brushed against her, a sensation that was neither warm nor cold, but entirely alien. "Your reproductive method suggests significant evolutionary advantages," June finally stated. "Genetic diversity, emotional resilience, adaptability." Hannah smiled. This was more than she had hoped for in their first interaction. Not rejection, but genuine scientific curiosity. The Horizon systems hummed softly, recording every microscopic interaction, every subtle molecular shift. Decades of human scientific preparation had led to this moment, a potential bridge between two completely different forms of intelligence. "Would you be interested," Hannah asked carefully, "in a detailed exchange of reproductive research?" June's crystalline structure pulsed, the closest equivalent to a nod in his species' communication method. "Affirmative. Your methodology presents unexplored scientific variables. Outside, the universe continued its infinite expansion. Somewhere, between mathematical precision and emotional complexity, a conversation was happening that might change everything humanity understood about life, reproduction, and intelligent communication." Hannah Park looked at June, and June looked back. Two researchers from different worlds, united by an unquenchable desire to understand. The first encounter had begun. The research station buzzed with quiet intensity, its sterile white corridors filled with the soft hum of advanced equipment. Hannah Park sat surrounded by holographic displays, her fingers dancing across translucent screens that showed complex biological diagrams and molecular structures. June observed her work, his crystalline form reflecting the changing images like a living prism. Days had turned into weeks of intense scientific exploration. Where human researchers would have shown signs of fatigue, June remained constant, a perfect blend of curiosity and analytical precision. Explain the chemical cascade during human reproductive bonding, June requested, his voice a precise digital tone that seemed to vibrate directly in Hana's mind. She pulled up a series of complex hormone charts: oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin. Each chemical told a story far more complicated than simple biological function. These were not just chemicals but emotional languages, bridges between physical and psychological experience. It's not just about reproduction, Hana explained, her finger tracing the intricate hormone pathways. It's about connection, survival, emotional resilience. June's crystalline structure flickered, the closest equivalent to a raised eyebrow in his species. The concept of emotional resilience was entirely foreign to a civilization that reproduced through perfect molecular replication. The research station's windows showed a panoramic view of distant star systems. Billions of light-years of cosmic history watched this extraordinary moment of cross-species scientific discovery. Hana knew they were exploring something more than just reproductive methods. They were exploring the very definition of intelligence. Microscopic sensors tracked every interaction. Each movement, each chemical shift, each moment of potential understanding was being recorded. Decades of human scientific preparation had led to this moment, a bridge between two completely different forms of intelligent life. You're emotional. Chemicals create unpredictability, June observed. In our replication process, every molecular transfer is precise, controlled. Hana smiled. Unpredictability is not a weakness. It's an evolutionary advantage. She showed him complex genetic variation charts, how human reproduction created millions of unique genetic combinations, how emotional bonding improved survival rates, how the messiness of biological connection was actually a sophisticated survival strategy. June's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been curiosity. His species had perfected molecular replication thousands of years ago. They could create identical copies with absolute precision. But they had never experienced the wild, unpredictable dance of biological reproduction. The research continued. Blood samples, hormone tracking, emotional response measurements. Each test revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything June understood about life and reproduction. Your method requires significant energy investment, June noted, analyzing a particularly complex genetic variation chart. 2 entities: emotional commitment, potential failure rates, and potential extraordinary success, Hana countered. Outside, stars continued their ancient cosmic dance. Somewhere between mathematical precision and emotional complexity, a conversation was happening that might redefine intelligence itself. Hana showed June how human reproduction was more than a biological function. It was a complex communication system, an emotional technology more sophisticated than any molecular replication process, genetic variations, emotional bonding, chemical communication. Each element told a story of survival, adaptation, and connection. "We are learning," June finally stated, his crystalline form shifting in a way that suggested something close to excitement. Hana knew they were on the edge of something extraordinary. Not just a scientific discovery, but a fundamental reimagining of what intelligence could mean. The research station continued its quiet work. Sensors tracked, computers calculated. 2 researchers from different worlds explored the extraordinary complexity of life itself. Somewhere in the vast cosmic darkness, understanding was being born. The research station's observation deck stretched before Hana like a window into infinite possibility. Weeks of close collaboration with June had changed something fundamental in their understanding of each other. June's crystalline form no longer seemed purely mechanical. Small changes had begun to emerge, subtle shifts that suggested something deeper than pure scientific observation was happening. During one late-night research session, June asked an unexpected question. "What does emotional connection feel like, Hana?" paused. How do you explain emotion to a being who has never experienced it? She brought up a holographic display of human brain activity during moments of connection, soft neural networks lighting up like complex star systems, chemical reactions that looked more like beautiful dancing patterns than simple biological processes. It's not something you can see, she explained. It's something you feel. June's crystalline structure flickered, a gesture of deep confusion and curiosity. Where his species had perfect logical communication, humans had something far more complex. An ability to connect beyond pure information transfer. Small moments began to change everything. A shared laugh during a complicated research analysis. A moment of mutual understanding that transcended technical language. June started to understand that information could be more than just data. It could be a living, breathing connection. The research station systems recorded everything. Each interaction became a potential breakthrough in understanding cross-species communication. Hana watched as June's molecular structure began showing unexpected variations, almost like the beginning of emotional learning. Your emotional systems are like a complex communication network, June observed one morning. His voice, once purely digital, now carried something close to wonder. Hana realized they were exploring more than just reproductive methods. They were discovering a new way of understanding intelligence itself. Simple interactions became profound moments of discovery. A cup of coffee shared during late-night research. A discussion about human music that made no logical sense to June, but carried deep emotional meaning. Small gestures that suggested intelligence was far more than pure calculation. The research team watched in quiet amazement. Something unprecedented was happening. A crystalline being was learning to understand emotion. June began asking questions that went beyond scientific protocol. Why do humans cry? What makes a joke funny? How does sadness create connection? Each question revealed layers of complexity. Where his species saw weakness, Hana showed strength. Where they saw inefficiency, she demonstrated sophisticated adaptation. Outside the research station, stars continued their ancient dance. Billions of light years of cosmic history watched this extraordinary moment of transformation. Hana understood. She was witnessing something remarkable. Not just a scientific breakthrough, but the potential evolution of intelligence itself. A crystalline being learning to feel, to understand, to connect. Emotion is not a limitation, she explained one evening. It's an advanced communication system. June's form pulsed with what could only be described as excitement. His molecular structure began showing variations that suggested something close to emotional response. Not human emotion, something entirely new. The research station hummed with potential. Sensors tracked, computers calculated, but something more important was happening. Two different forms of intelligence were learning to understand each other. Somewhere between logic and feeling, a new kind of communication was being born. June looked at Hana, and for the first time, it wasn't just a scientific observation. It was something closer to understanding. The transformation had begun. The universe watched and waited. The research station's night cycle created a soft blue glow across the laboratory. Hana noticed something different about June tonight. His crystalline structure moved with a new kind of energy, something that resembled curiosity beyond pure scientific observation. I want to understand connection, June stated unexpectedly. Humans would have called this a breakthrough moment. For the crystalline collective, this was unprecedented. A being designed for pure logical replication was expressing a desire to comprehend emotional bonding. Hana prepared a series of experiments, not just scientific tests, but experiences that might help June understand human connection. She played music, showed emotional response videos, shared stories about human relationships. Each interaction revealed something extraordinary. June's molecular structure began responding in ways that defied his species' known capabilities. Small vibrations, subtle color changes, moments of what almost looked like emotional resonance. During one experiment, June asked about human touch. Physical connection seems inefficient, he observed. But his curiosity suggested something deeper. Hana demonstrated simple human connection techniques. A handshake, a gentle touch on the shoulder. Subtle ways humans communicate beyond verbal language. The research station's advanced sensors tracked every microscopic change. Something unprecedented was happening. A crystalline being was learning to understand connection at a fundamental level. Unexpected moments began to emerge. June started recognizing emotional nuances. He could now distinguish between different types of human emotional responses. Happiness wasn't just a chemical reaction anymore, it was a complex experience. Your emotional system is a sophisticated communication network, June observed one evening. His voice carried something close to respect. Outside the station's massive windows, stars continued their silent dance. Billions of light-years of cosmic history watched this extraordinary moment of potential transformation. Hana realized they were exploring something more significant than initial research suggested. This wasn't just about understanding reproduction. This was about redefining intelligence itself. Small gestures became profound moments of discovery. A shared moment of understanding, a conversation that went beyond pure scientific language. June's crystalline form began showing variations that suggested emotional learning. The research team watched in quiet amazement. No one had predicted this level of cross-species emotional development. A being designed for pure logical replication was learning to feel. Emotions are not weakness, Hana explained. They are an advanced survival mechanism. June's molecular structure pulsed with what could only be described as excitement. His form shifted in ways that suggested he was processing something far more complex than simple data. Communication transformed. What started as a clinical research project became something extraordinary. Two different forms of intelligent life, finding a way to understand each other beyond traditional boundaries. The station's systems recorded everything. Each interaction became a potential breakthrough in understanding how intelligence could evolve. June was no longer just observing human emotional systems. He was experiencing them. "I am experiencing something unexpected," June stated one morning. His voice carried a complexity that didn't exist weeks earlier. Hana smiled. This was more than scientific achievement. This was a moment of profound universal understanding. Sensors tracked, computers calculated, but something more important was happening. A crystalline being was learning the most complex language in the universe, the language of emotional connection. The research station hummed with potential. Outside, stars watched. Billions of years of cosmic evolution had led to this moment, a moment where two completely different forms of life found a way to understand each other. June looked at Hana, and for the first time it wasn't a scientific observation. It was connection. The universe held its breath. Something extraordinary was happening. The final presentation hall buzzed with anticipation. Representatives from multiple star systems waited, their collective attention focused on Hana and June. June's crystalline form had transformed. No longer a pure logical structure, he now vibrated with something close to emotional energy. His molecular arrangement suggested complex changes that defied his species' traditional understanding. "We are presenting a breakthrough in evolutionary understanding," Hana began, her voice steady and clear. Holographic displays revealed intricate biological and molecular data. Decades of research compressed into moments of stunning revelation. The crystalline collective watched, their traditional logical systems challenged by what they were about to witness. June stepped forward. His movement was no longer mechanical, but carried a hint of what humans might call personality. "Emotional connection is not a weakness," he stated. "It is an advanced survival mechanism." The research findings were revolutionary. Human reproductive methods weren't just biological processes. They were sophisticated communication systems that allowed rapid adaptation, emotional resilience, and complex social structures. Where the crystalline collective had perfected molecular replication, humans had developed something far more complex. an ability to connect, to feel, to evolve through emotional intelligence. Reproduction is more than genetic transfer, Hannah explained. It's a complex communication network that allows unprecedented adaptability. Molecular charts transformed into dynamic displays. Each graphic showed how human emotional bonding created genetic variations that allowed faster evolutionary responses. Where precise replication created stability, emotional connection created potential. The research station's advanced sensors had tracked every microscopic change in June's transformation. He was living proof of their groundbreaking discovery, that intelligence could learn, adapt, and fundamentally change. Representatives from different star systems leaned forward. Some looked confused. Others looked excited. This was more than a scientific presentation. This was a potential redefinition of intelligence itself. June shared personal experiences, how he had learned to understand emotions, how his molecular structure had changed through emotional learning. His story was as significant as the scientific data. "We are not just presenting research," June stated. "We are presenting a new understanding of life." Hannah's research demonstrated how human reproductive methods represented a complex, adaptive strategy. Emotional bonding wasn't a limitation. It was an advanced evolutionary technology. The hall fell silent. Centuries of scientific understanding were being challenged in moments. Outside the presentation hall, stars continued their ancient cosmic dance. Billions of light years of universal history watched this extraordinary moment of potential transformation. "Emotional intelligence is a survival mechanism," Hannah continued. "It allows faster adaptation, complex problem-solving, and unprecedented collaborative potential." June's crystalline form pulsed with what could only be described as excitement. His molecular structure showed variations that suggested ongoing emotional learning. The crystalline collective's representatives exchanged complex communication signals. Something fundamental was changing in their understanding. "We were incomplete," June acknowledged, his voice carrying a depth that didn't exist months earlier. "Emotional connection represents an evolutionary advantage we had not previously understood." Hannah smiled. The first step towards a new kind of existence had begun. The research station's systems recorded everything. Sensors tracked, computers calculated. But something more important was happening. Two completely different forms of intelligent life were redefining what intelligence could mean. Representatives from multiple star systems began asking questions, challenging, exploring. The presentation was becoming a conversation. Somewhere, between mathematical precision and emotional complexity, a new understanding of life was emerging. June looked at Hannah. No longer just a research partner, something closer to a connection that defied traditional understanding. The universe watched and waited. A new evolutionary chapter was beginning.